Hey guys, my name is Eddie Perez. I am a do-it-yourselfer. I am doing this channel for anyone who likes to do things on their own and does not. I do different things, whether it is building something, construction, my plumbing jobs, my electrical. But I am someone who likes to do things right and also likes to save money because again, I am not rich. But I wanted to share a little bit of my projects with you guys. So if there's anything that you guys dare to take on at your house for all your homeowners, it is really good to know and see some of the things that people go through, um, and avoid some mistakes that pretty much we forget while we start doing our projects. So I wanted to share a little bit of my project. Like this, the project I'm going to be talking about is my attic. I'm making it into a living space. It is a space that is livable, but right now it's not usable because it has no insulation. It didn't have any electricity or anything like that. So I had to do all that. I had to fix the floors, put in the um, the heating units on one side of my house, and then I ended up, starting to do this. So I'll talk a little bit about what I did, so you guys have an idea on what things you can do and not do when you are finishing up an attic if you decide to do that. So the first thing is, let me turn the camera around. I ended up having a contractor put in the units, the my air unit, both air conditioning and the heating, is on one side of my house, and it runs all along the sides. The vents run underneath in the downstairs roof, so they run under the floor. So we have a vent on this side, a vent on that side, a couple vents towards the front of the house. This is a second floor house, so this is just some nice space to be able to use. So obviously, as you see, where I ended up putting, or had the contractor put in the vents on one side and then the other, they ended up putting them against the ceiling. So I had to remove them, put insulation behind it. I ended up putting R19 behind the vents, and also adding more, I think a 2x4 on either side of that, so I can actually have the room to be able to run the baffle behind it. As you can see, I ended up finishing the roof or the ceiling on it, and I ended up doing a fan that is also a little bit lower just for aesthetics, just because I liked it. And I ended up putting the new rafters in, just for additional support where the old ones used to be. Um, Obviously, I am doing a bathroom back there, but as you can see, this is what I'm working in. So this is what my entire attic looked like. Basically, I had a lot of stuff up here. This is my last project that I'm going to work on, which is the bathroom that goes back here. I have already installed the toilet for it, but I'm just going to give you a quick look at what's happening right now. This is day 60 of this project. There is some storage that I'll be doing up here, but I can't put any of that stuff in the garage because it's not heated and I don't want it to get messed up. But one of the first things that I ended up doing, obviously, is putting in the heater, running the electrical, so like that the electrical can be out of the way, and making sure the roof didn't leak. Well, that was not the case, because after I'd done all this, I found out that my chimney was still leaking. So I ended up going up there for about 12 hours and putting in a cricket behind the chimney, because it was leaking so much that, and it has a really deep groove, because my roof is about 45 degree, or 12 I think, pitch. Not too sure because I'm not a contractor, but I ended up looking online, finding out information about what the cricket does for the chimney, and it looks like it saves you a lot of pain and suffering, but not while you're doing it. So it took me about 12 hours to be on my roof during a nice sunny day to take out all the flashing, take out the shingles around the chimney, reflash, reshingle, and put in the cricket in the back of the chimney so like that the water can bead to both sides. I'll put some pictures in so you guys can see that project. So after I got into this level of finish of my attic, I ended up having to fix the leak there. As you can see, it was leaking a long time ago, and it stopped leaking because the water was not hitting it in the right direction, and then finally it broke. So I ended up going up there and fixing it, and it actually is fully fixed. But it did take a while. Just a little bit of a note. I am trying to get my roof or my attic to be about an R30, but I just can't get it to that level because I cannot afford it. So a couple things that I did to make it more affordable for me is I use a R7.7 for doing the air vents for the house. So basically I'm doing a gap that goes all the way up to the ridge with 2-inch insulation foam board. It's not the most expensive one. There's actually some that are R13 that actually are way better, but this is what I was able to afford. So I did a R7.7. So now I have 4 inches that I took away from my 2.6 rafters, and then I'm adding an additional 2 inches, maybe a little bit more, to be able to put R13, as you see up here. After I added the R13, basically, as you can see, I added another foam board very similar to that one, but this is an R6. And this is just to make sure that I cover all the rafters and all the cold air from the outside as a final covering, and that gives me about R26, R27 insulation up here. Also for any other walls, which is basically this one, my knee walls, and then just the back wall in the house. Those are the only walls I pretty much have. I'm going to add another layer of the 1.5-inch board that is going to go in this manner, just to be able to insulate more. I don't think I need more than an R13 on the walls, but I'm going to go a little bit more just for shits and giggles and making sure that I cover all my ins and outs with the heating and cooling up here, keep it nice and cool during the summer and warm in the winter. I still have to install the ridge vent up there, and I do have air vents that come in through the peaks of the dormers, so I'm going to use those for air vents also. And along in the outside, I will be doing like along here, there's going to be air vents on either side of this dormer, and then air vents all along the side of the house. But again, this is day 60 or so of doing this work. Just I ended up putting a subfloor on top of my floor to just make sure that I have a nice even floor when I put in my hardwood floors. So I ended up just putting a 1/4-inch subfloor just to, again, just have a nice even floor. But it is a work in progress. I recommend that if you are doing this, that you take all the time in the world to plan and set it up. And if you can have help because you already have the setup, that's great because it will go a lot faster. But if you're doing it yourself, it just gives you a little bit of an idea on being able to do this progressively. This is video 1 or part 1 of the series that I'm doing on my attic reconstruction and making it into a living space. I will do another video later on when I get a little bit more done with the insulation, just to show you my progress. Um, but again, just know it takes time to do this. But that's I just wanted to kind of give an idea on what I use for insulating the attic, so like that it can actually get to about an R30, which I personally will not get there. But if you use an R13 board for the air vents here, and then you put R13 on top of that, plus another R13 foam board on top. Very easy to do. These take a little bit of time to get used to, but once you do like 3 or 4, you kind of get the hang of it. You cut it to space, and I would recommend using a saw to get it into the groove. So once you get it set to the right size, just take a saw on the side if it doesn't fit in, and just kind of slide it and kind of cut it along the side so you can actually put it into the groove. I was trying to cut it to the actual size, not doable. So you get it as close as possible and then put it in. Especially an old house like this is about 105 years old. Um, it does take a little bit more because nothing is 100% even. So some are 18, some are 15, some are 16. So you really do have to work your magic in taking your time doing that. Obviously, baffles are easier, but for me, I like this method that I saw on YouTube by a couple contractors, because it gives it a really nice full 2 inches from rafter to rafter, and it makes a huge difference in the fact that all that air just really goes straight up, and it gives it a nice insulating action on the sides. It's not just on the middle where the baffles normally have an opening, but it's also on the sides also. So it has a little bit more air current going out and easier flow. So if you do this, just know it's going to take a little bit of time, but once you start getting to this level of finish, it starts feeling really, really good. So I'll see you guys in the next video, and stay tuned, and I will try to answer any questions if you have any. Obviously, I'm not a contractor, so I refer to other contractors. I have friends that give me information and give me feedback and tell me yes or no. I also look at books, I read a lot, and also make sure that I verify what people do with a couple different sources, just so if I hear the same thing from 5, 6 different sources, then I know that it's closer to what I want to do rather than having something different by everybody. You always find that, but at least if you can match what you're doing with about 3 or 4 different sources, it makes a little bit more sense that it has worked for more people than just one person. So with that being said, catch you in the next one.